So it's been a little while since I've been back to Hobart High School. In fact, the year was 2009. I was here for my first game of soccer season, and it was really exciting. I had a bunch of great friends who were all seniors, and we were ready to face whatever came our way. Unfortunately, I left Hobart High School sitting on the turf field right outside, feeling rather disappointed. We had just lost. Not only had we lost in double overtime and extra penalty kicks. And for those of you who are previous soccer players like me, you know exactly how painful that is. And I'm not sure what the relationship is like now, but back in the day, Griffith girls soccer and Hobart girls soccer did not get along. For lack of better terms, we were definitely rivals. But playing Hobart was always really fun. The games were really competitive, a few yellow cards were probably going to be thrown, and the score was always very close. But this was not fun. Soccer's been a part of my life for a long time. I played growing up, and in high school I played for a club team in the spring, and I played for Griffith in the fall. After my freshman year at Griffith, I was one of a few freshmen on varsity, and I had a great time. I learned a lot, I bonded with the older classmen, and it was an overall great season. Sophomore year we did okay, but luckily for me, I was given the coveted MVP award, which I worked very hard for and was honored to hold and have. I thought long and hard about my junior season because as you kind of get towards junior and senior year, I'm sure as you know, the reality of college and what comes next becomes more real. And for me, I really wanted to play college soccer. So I set my goals really high. But I often became frustrated because I didn't feel like I was learning much from the high school team, and I needed to make a change. So I thought about it for a long time, and I decided to forego my junior season. Yep, I went from MVP to quitter. Talk about social high school outcast. You're probably wondering what I did with all of my free time since I had quit. I decided to volunteer for my club organization and join as a coach. That taught me a lot of lessons. One, it is really difficult to manage a bunch of 14-year-old crazy girls. Two, I learned much more about the player-coach relationship from the other side of the story. And three, it taught me to be a leader. I decided to come back for my senior year at Griffith and use those leadership skills to help the team succeed however we could. Not only did we succeed that year, but we are the first and only Griffith girls team to win conference, and we held up an amazing record, 14-1. One single loss, right here at Hobart High School. Because when one door closes, you knock on the next. There is always a silver lining. And luckily for us, we came back from that, worked our butts off, and we found 14 silver linings. I did end up playing for college for a year at Ball State, and while I had a wonderful experience, it just wasn't for me. So instead, I threw myself into student organizations and really trying to build myself up as a leader. I loved Ball State so much, I wanted to stay there throughout the summer. And so I found a job called orientation. Now, orientation leaders are those really energetic, hyper people who will make you play icebreakers when you really don't want to, and they're very good at walking around backwards. I wanted to be one of them. So I applied and interviewed, and I was feeling really great about myself because it was a 3-step interview process, and I got called back all 3 times. I was so confident. But then one day in my dorm, I received a letter nobody wants to get. It said, "Sara, it was so nice to meet you, and you're just such a great person. However, we're moving forward with other candidates at this time." I was pretty upset. I let myself go for about 2 to 3 weeks of just laying around, doing nothing, eating Ben & Jerry's, ordering pizza, having Jimmy John's, whatever I pleased. Food makes me happy when I'm sad. This is why I work out. But after a while, I decided I needed to get up and get over it. And it was advice from my mom that really changed that for me. I was riding the bus around campus one day in between classes and telling her how upset I was, and she said, "You know what, why don't you set up a meeting with the directors to ask them what you could have done better?" Well, I thought this was kind of ridiculous to begin with because they had already written on a piece of paper, no. I didn't really want to go back and face them and say, "Hey, you guys got like 5 more reasons why you didn't want to give me the job? I want to know." But I decided to suck it up and do it anyways. So at this point, you're probably thinking, wow, that's so brave of you. I felt brave for about 1 second, and then I entered their office, sat down, and the tears came. I was upset, I was exhausted, and honestly, I was kind of pissed off to be there. But after I received some much-needed constructive criticism, which I took in wholeheartedly after I wiped away the tears, they had told me that a female leader had dropped out, and they wanted me to replace her. I was shocked. I was basically on an invisible waiting list that I didn't even know existed. There are two easy ways to tell how close you are to your goal. One is to give up and just quit. And two is to get back at it and push yourself one step further. My advice for you, push yourself one step further. Had I not taken that awful meeting and taken the initiative to speak to them about what I could have done better, I never would have gotten the orientation job. And that job changed my life. It changed my major, and it taught me that I have to do something with my life and career to help other people. So I went into that summer knowing that I was the replacement. I was the backup, and I was basically captain of Team B. And this was kind of hard for me because I was used to being the MVP or being the freshman on varsity. So I kept this little secret to myself. But I worked really, really hard, and thanks to my wonderful students and amazing peers, I was awarded the Most Loved Leader at the end of it. I continued to be a part of orientation for the rest of my college career. I was an Office of Admissions intern as well as a tour guide. I'm really good at walking backwards, if you couldn't tell. My senior year, so looking into my junior year, so the summer between ending your junior year and beginning your senior year, I wanted to challenge myself a little bit more. So I decided to apply to be a student coordinator. This is the position that oversees all of these student leaders like I was a few years ago. So I applied and interviewed, and again, it's a pretty rigorous process. There's 3 steps, and I made it through all 3. No way they could turn me down twice. I mean, I've worked here for so long, it'd be kind of weird if they turned me down. I still was working in this office. I'm good. I got this in the bag. But to my surprise, I was smacked with my second rejection letter from the very same office. This time, I knew my path had to be different. I wiped away my tears, marched myself down to the Study Abroad Center, and signed up to live in Ireland for 2 months. Living in Ireland taught me so much about myself, and I learned a lot about other people, countries, cultures, and histories. But without that door closing in my face, I wouldn't have knocked on the next, and I found my silver lining in Ireland. Another thing that Ireland taught me is that I'm really bad at directions. It doesn't matter if I have an iPhone, a plastic map in my hand, or some cute local Irish guy next to me, I just can't do it. And that was a valuable life lesson, as was everything else. So I came back from Ireland for my senior year feeling really excited and confident, and by this time I had done part-time internships, a few jobs, I'd been involved in student organizations, and considered myself a leader on campus. And I really, really, really wanted to secure a job before I graduated. If you guys want to know one place where you're going to get turned down again and again and again, it's when you apply for real-world jobs. Eventually, 2 opportunities fell into my lap in February, so we're getting close to the date of May. And if you haven't noticed, I'm a pretty emotional and type A person. I like to know what's coming, and waiting till February was killing me. But my 2 options were this. On one hand, I was offered a full-time position to be a marketing specialist with a freight logistics company. Whew, it's a mouthful. On the other hand, I was offered to be an intern with the Finish Line Youth Foundation, the nonprofit arm of Finish Line, the national athletic retailer. So on the one hand, I had everything that I had wanted. I wanted the salary, I wanted the 401k, I wanted the benefits, and it was a really sweet office. It overlooked downtown Indianapolis, and the city life sounded pretty great to me. On the other hand, the Youth Foundation's mission absolutely spoke to me. They support life's biggest possibilities through empowering youth through health and wellness initiatives, as well as Special Olympic athletes. There was just one problem with the Youth Foundation. They had told me in the interview, you might be the best intern we've ever seen, but we're not going to be able to hire you at the end of this. We just don't have the capabilities right now. Now, as I said, I'm type A, and that means I like to plan. I like to know, and I like to write things in my planner. Writing a deadline of you will not have a job was really, really hard. So this decision weighed on me for a while, and eventually I decided to follow my passion over a paycheck. I went with the Youth Foundation. Now I went in because the Youth Foundation closed the door on me, but I decided to knock on the next and find a silver lining. I literally knocked on every door I could. I met with anyone from executives to senior vice presidents to individual contributors to store managers. I wanted to learn as much as I could because I knew that clock above my head that I walked through with on the first day was eventually going to run out. At the end of my summer, there was a job offer in another department, and I decided to take it. I worked there for 9 months, and I really enjoyed that position. But then one day, the Youth Foundation finally had an offer on the table, and you better believe this girl was first to knock at that door. I've been working my dream job for the past 2 years, and I've had some amazing opportunities to change the community around me and in Indiana for the better. I've been flown to Los Angeles, Boston, Florida, and most recently Europe, all for work. I sat here just like you, a young region rat coming from a small high school in Northwest Indiana, and if you would have told me I was going to be paid to go to Europe, I probably would have slapped you. But that's not what I came here to tell you today. I didn't come here to tell you that I used to be a soccer star, or that my job is really cool, or that orientation is the best. I came here to tell you that when one door closes, you knock on the next. There is always a silver lining. Now, I started my presentation with one word, and that word is failure. And I purposely wrote it in a beautiful font, a font so beautiful it actually cost me $7.99. So read it, please. But I wrote it in a beautiful font on purpose. Failure is beautiful. As I've told you, so much of my success, awesome opportunities, and lifelong memories have been born out of complete failures. And like Eric was saying, look to the left. I'm going to contradict him a little bit. Look to the left and look to the right. You're all going to fail. But you're going to get over it. Because you're sitting here at TEDx. Of course you're smart, of course you're innovative, and I know that you can get back up after a door is slammed in your face and knock at the next, because you will always find your silver lining. Now there's a quote very similar to the one that I'm repeating to you, and it's called, "When one door closes, another opens." That is not true. Doors just don't open for people. Doors open for people who get up, make a comeback, and they knock at the next. When a door closes, I hope you remember how beautiful failure is. And no matter what you do personally or professionally, I hope you always do what is right for you. Because when one door closes, you knock at the next. There is always a silver lining.